Okay, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to have us here, and I'm super excited to be your anchor person for today's program. It's sweet, it's lovely, it's an alma mater of myself, and I'm proud to be a member of this distinguished institution. Let me first and foremost thank God for this opportunity, for giving us all life, for His for everything that He has done for us, that we still have in remembrance our alma mater. I think God thanks to that. Let me also thank the organizers of this event. I mean, everybody will have just said, let us do a passing by on what the activities are. But again, it bestowed on them to be able to organize this event as an enlightenment program for us who come from the same alma mater. I thank the president, the global president of Mesosa. I thank the vice president. I thank the executives. I thank everyone, the general secretary, the publicity secretary, everyone that has been part of this event. I thank you very much. And I'm super excited once again to be your anchor person. Let's just fasten our seatbelt. We hope to wrap it up in less than 1 hour. I mean, it's an enlightenment program that is expected to indeed showcase what we're doing and what the trending is in the financial system. I'm your host and anchor. My name is Ayodeji Olatunji. I'm obviously a proud alma mater of our glorious and indefatigable Methodist High School Graduate, on which all our platforms we are here. Yeah, for some of us that are not also didn't attend Methodist High School, maybe you missed some certain things. But again, it's not just limited to Methodist High School. So I know there might be some other interested individuals who really want to hear more. Maybe you've been invited by someone who attended Methodist High School graduate. For you're all welcome to this occasion. Thank you very much. I'm super excited to be here. So without much ado, let's just go into the purpose of our discussion. And let me also state there now, as we go ahead, I will still repeat it in our session. Let's just put in our questions in the chat box. I will pick them up and I will be able to respond to them as much as possible. Like I said, my name is Ayodeji Olatunji. I work with a financial institution, and I'm proud to be here to anchor this event. Yeah, we've talked about E-Naira. We've learned about digital currency, and it's just it gives a lot of information that we perhaps may have not known, and this is an opportunity as an enlightenment for us to be able to know as an institution, indeed. So let's just go straight. Now, when we talk about E-Naira, principally, let me put it in the, okay, I think it's already in the, let me put it in presentation mode. Um, I think, okay, it's fine the way it is now. So when we talk about E-Naira, principally, I mean, this is an event. This particular slide speaks to us because it seems that we already know about this slide. This was the president, Muhammad Buhari, launching the E-Naira. And as at the time of the launch of the E-Naira, 33 banks were fully integrated into the platform. The Central Bank of Nigeria indeed informed us that 500 million has been successfully minted by the central bank, of which 200 million has been issued to financial institutions, and over 2,000 customers have been onboarded, and above 120 merchants successfully registered. We'll go into this and just let's relax. You know, this is just at the launch, the particular day it was launched. So it's to show us that indeed this is live, this is where we are, this is what is obtainable. So without much again ado, let us go into it now. What is E-Naira? Now, before we go to this E-Naira as it is, I want us to just have a reverse gear and look at it. How come E-Naira came into being? E-Naira basically is the product of what you call the central bank digital currency. And when you talk about the central bank digital currency, in Nigeria it's called E-Naira. The central bank digital currency basically is a new form of digital money. And what do I mean by that? It's whereby let me break it down. It's whereby your money that you have in your bank account or the money you have at home as your cash is the same thing that we want to have at your E-Naira. And so it's a digital form in which the central bank um, mints this particular currency, the digital currency, and make it available just like you have in the traditional way. Today, so the Central Bank of Nigeria will meet the money, the physical cash that we have, make it available. We pick it up in the branches, we collect it in branches in banks, and we spend. The same thing also. It's also a digital. It's a digital payment instrument, which means that the denomination has the same national unit of account. That is a direct liability of the central bank. Central bank owns it. Anything that happens to it is still the direct liability of central bank. The meaning of it is that once central bank has issued you an e-naira, just like you have our naira in our account or in our houses, the same thing, that liability comes because central bank, as far as the central bank has issued it, is the same thing that you have. And it's a form of a digital representation of a country's government issued central bank controlled money. It's a fiat money. It's the central bank that is issuing it, and this is what is obtainable. And so when you look at the global trend that you have today, in Nigeria is called E-Naira, in Sweden is called E-Krona, in China they call it ECNI, in Bahamas they call it the Sand Dollar, and indeed Bahamas is the first country in the world that has fully launched it. The European Union is considering a centralized CBDC, that's central bank digital currency, and also US also is also pursuing the digitalization of their USD. In Africa, Nigeria is the first indeed to launch this, and so Ghana is in the process. I'll still talk to it as we go about this. So basically the aim of it is to enhance digital payment services, which means I need to make payment. How can I do it? This is what this digital currency, central bank digital currency, is all about. It's also will reduce the physical cash. We're still going to come to that in terms of the benefits, and it has a greater surveillance of financial transactions, so which means you can have a control and monitor your financial flows. That is what the broader, what you can call the mother now. The mother is the central bank digital currency, but the child now in Nigeria is called E-Naira. And when you talk about the E-Naira, like I said, it's a legal tender. So which means as long as you produce the E-Naira at the point of transaction to any organization or individual, it is something that you can use to also purchase your goods and services. It's also at what? At parity value. The same thing with what you have with your naira in your bank account or at home is the same value that it has with your e-naira. Another design or feature that it has is that it's a two-tier retail CBDC model. What does it mean? Today, the central bank issues the physical naira that we spend, the cash that we spend. They give it to the banks. The same cash that is given to the bank is the same cash that a bank gives to customers. So today, if for instance, central bank gives 10 million naira cash to a particular bank now, the bank cannot give more than what it has collected from central bank, and that is why it's called a two-tier retail CBDC. The same thing that the central bank issues to you as an individual to the banks is the same that the banks issue to corporate organizations or individuals. It's also wallet based. I will talk about it very soon. It's value based, which means you can use it to purchase the same value, the goods and services that your account, your naira that you have, your balances in your bank account, the same naira value, goods and services that that can purchase is the same thing that E-Naira too can purchase. There's a transaction limit for customers. Well, let me speak to this briefly. We have three tiers about that. You have a tier one, it's call it tier two, tier three, depending on the know your customer that is available for you. It determines the tier that you will be, the bucket in which you will be graded. So for a tier one, for instance, now you can do a maximum of 50,000, 200,000, rather 200,000, and a cumulative balance of 500,000. So which means at every point in time, the total you can have in your E-Naira will be 500,000. For tier two, the same happens. You can do for 1 million cumulative balance, a daily balance of also 500,000. Therefore, tier three, there's no balance, there's no restriction into what you can have for the merchant. Now, there are two types to it. I'll still talk to it. You have the one for the merchant, you have the one for the individual. When I mean merchant, I mean corporate organizations now, whether you're a church or you are a mosque or you are a business entity or you are small scale enterprises that we call SMEs, or you're a corporate organizations, we categorize all of them as merchants. Then also, another design there is that it's a tier AML. AML means anti-money laundering. KYC is KYC. That is, you know your customer. So for the way it's going to be done today now is that there are two approaches to it. I'll still discuss that more details, but let me just hint us on that. Is that for now, you have the ones in which if you don't have a bank account, you can be able to open an E-Naira. So that is why the unique identifier there is your national identification number or your bank verification number. So today, I don't have a bank account and I want to have an E-Naira. It is possible. It's something that is realizable. Another part of it there for the design is that it's non-interest bearing. So what do I mean by this? The naira that you have in your bank account today, you can actually earn interest on it, depending on the whether you're maintaining a savings account or a current account. But for E-Naira, it is non-interest bearing. And the last part of it, which we're not going to, there's no interest on your balances on E-Naira. And the final part that is a settlement finality, which means today, if I make a transfer, let's say hypothetically from EcoBank now to Zenith, you have what you call settlement. Settlement is it goes through different layers. Now, at the end of the day, if you make a transfer and you are debited and the beneficiary in another bank did not get the credit, you can go to your bank to lay complaint. They will investigate what you call suspense account. But to us in the bank, is a settlement investigation you are going to look at. To look at it to say, why you're tracing the money, did it fail at the point of origination where the transaction was initiated? I mean, from the sending bank, or did it fail from the receiving bank? That process is settlement. So, but for E-Naira, there's nothing like that. I make an E-Naira transfer to you, you get it instantly. It doesn't go through any intermediaries, and that is what it is. Now um, let's become a bit detailed about it now, and this is where it comes to it. Now we've talked about what E-Naira is all about. We've talked about the functions and the model and the features. What are the benefits? Why do I need to adopt this E-Naira. And this is the process. Because I know that on this webinar, there are different sectors. There are different people representing different organizations. So we're going to go through all the layers without excluding anyone, because I know we have an heterogeneous congregation in which are here today. So now, what are the benefits? The first thing there is to government. And what do I mean by the government? In E-Naira ecosystem, there are four parties to it: the government, the Central Bank of Nigeria, the banks, and the customers. Those are the four parties that are in the ecosystem of the E-Naira. So each of these parties has its own benefit. So let's go quickly to government. Number one there is that it reduces leakage due to tax evasion and illicit money flows. Today, you can have what you there's something in money laundering that they call layering. So which means I need to conceal the origin of an illicit fund. So what do I need to do? And I'm talking to myself figuratively. I won't be involved in money laundering, no doubt about that. But let's assume a money launderer now needs to be able to launder money effectively. It takes the money, and the section of layering is that it takes and splits the money to different sections. So when that happens, it becomes difficult for you to be able to trace. But for E-Naira, that is not going to happen. Also, for us, for the government, it increases what you call a formal cross-border trade with attendance positive impact on the economy. Last week, we had a session with the Central Bank, and one of those sessions, and that is why I really need to emphasize on this. There's something coming up. It's called the PAPSS, the PAPS. It's Pan African Payment Settlement Systems. Pan African, PAPSS, Pan African Payment Settlement Systems. What does it mean? Today, if I need to make a transfer as a cross-border transfer to somebody in Ghana, I will need to use my domiciliary account, and it goes through what you call the telex. And when you go through the telex, it goes to the correspondent bank. For those who are familiar with what I'm talking about, you understand. But for those who are not familiar, just let us and guide you through it. So I need to make payment to my supplier in Ghana. I go through telex, for instance. Now, like I said, it goes through the domiciliary account to the correspondent bank, depending on the currency that the bank you're using, up to the correspondent bank of the beneficiary, who is my supplier, down to the beneficiary. So what African countries are now doing now is that they want to have what you call a payment system, whereby between the central banks that you have and government of different countries, you can be able to have settlement without necessarily going through that long route of going through the telex, through the correspondent bank, and it will be instant or near instant. Quite all right. Now, when that comes, or because that is already been planned now, with that on board, what that means is that you can also use your E-Naira for you to be able to make cross-border payments. I want to pay somebody in Ghana, you can use your E-Naira to be able to do that. We'll still come to the part of, oh, why can't I use it from my normal account? We'll still come to that part. Another way is that it's if we recall during the lockdown, I'll be faster now because of our time. If you recall during the lockdown, government brought about a various form of stimulus in which government was able to give the citizens a stimulus package for them to be able to augment the effect of the lockdown. In some locations in the country today, it's almost difficult to be able to do that. Why? Because of insecurity. But with an digital currency, it's possible for government to be able to send money in that stimulus package to the citizens without undergoing the risk or the security that is associated, or the how cumbersome for especially those in the interiors, those who don't have access to financial services. That can happen for that to be able to do. Then as we go on ahead, that is another catch, is that central bank and the government indeed would then come up with the fact that, oh, if you need to pay tax or enjoy social services, for instance, you need to do it through your digital currency. And that becomes compelling for all citizens to be able to have that. Whether you want to collect your driver's license or international passport, government can bring up a policy to say that has to be done through the E-Naira. If you say, oh, I'm not traveling, oh, I don't have a car, yeah, but you pay tax. Irrespective of what it is still a compelling thing that it can happen. Um, Again, to central bank now, one of the benefits to central bank obviously is that it improves transaction transparency within the payment services, and it's a faster way of implementing policies around the counter-terrorism financing and the anti-money laundering. And this is very important. I've said it before, I'll emphasize it in few seconds here. It accelerates financial inclusion. So for those who don't have bank accounts and who do not really want the part of going through the rigor of the requirement of banks, or even banks are not even very close to you, and you need to be able to collect money from maybe your loved ones, your grandmother, you need to send. This is a mechanism in which this can happen, because for someone who does not have a bank account and you're able to have an E-Naira, you can send money. If you've traveled, I mean, for those who had experiences in other regions, in Kenya, for instance, M-Pesa is very good. You have people in remote areas, they don't have bank account, but you can send money. It's just that M-Pesa in Kenya is controlled by the telco, that is telecommunication company. So what is being done here is that it is done in such a way that it is central bank that is using a fiat money, whereby someone in the remote area can be able to access funds without going through a bank account, and that is what it is. Reduction in cost of currency operations. Let me also state this: it has impact in 2012, and this is a public knowledge of what I'm talking about. In 2012, the cost of currency operations as initiated by the central bank. Now, when I mean the currency operations, whereby you're able to print money, I will explain that. Don't let me jump ship. I will explain that. It was in 2012, it was about 128 billion to be able to maintain currency in circulation. Now, imagine with the inflation, with the devaluation of the naira, with the exchange rate, it will have been more than double now. And that is the impact in which this also happened. Now, let me also state this as part of the benefit in of the E-Naira now. In economics, there's something you call signorage. Signorage in economics. What does that mean? Is the purchasing power of currency compared to the amount required to print the currency. The purchasing power of currency compared to the amount it requires to print the currency. And let me give us a live example of this now. Today, the minimum notes that we have in Nigeria today is 5 naira. Between you and I don't know what 5 naira can buy. I don't know. But let's assume 5 naira can buy something. But look at, you print 5 naira, central bank prints 5 naira, they transport the 5 naira to the vault in central bank. And if you really been on the road when those guys are transporting those cash, I mean, you clear road for them because they are not good looking anyway. In all ramifications, they are not good looking. Now they move the money from, that's a cost, they move the money from the central bank to the banks. You and I will go to the bank, we will collect the money, we will spend. Now there's a wear and tear that comes in usage of money. The money comes back to the bank when the wear and tear has happened. You take it to the central bank will destroy. That's the life cycle of a naira. That life cycle, look at the cost of that life cycle. It is more than the purchasing power of the 5 naira. And that's what signorage is all about. So the cost of currency operations in circulation is high. So, but with a digital currency, it what? It impacts into us. Not just only the central bank too. That takes me to the banks now. The banks also, it reduces the cost of currency operations. When I make currency operations in terms of insurance, in terms of movement of cash from one place to another, in terms of even the tellers, the equipment that are being used. All of these are cost implicated. So, but when you have a digital currency, those costs are what? They are minimized. And that is one important thing. It's also helped the banks to be able to request and issue stable coins and manage digital currency transactions. It warehouses deposit of merchants. That's for the banks now, and the international money transfers. When you talk about the MoneyGram, the RIA, the Western Union, for instance. So it will also be an option. You are receiving money from anybody in the world now, for instance, it will be an option for you to be able to receive in E-Naira, because MoneyGram, Western Union, RIA option will be there. If you want to collect in E-Naira, then they can also access the money for you in E-Naira. And obviously for banks too, it manage digital currency across branches. I always like to play less in this space of banks because maybe we have some of us that are bankers. I know on the other side of the divide, we talk about that. But let's even focus on the customers now. You and I, what's the benefits? That's important. We've talked about government, we talk about central bank, we talk about banks. What's the benefit for me? The benefit, one of it is that it's you can own and spend digital currency. Yes. What else? Another thing there is that you can perform a P2P, person to person or person to business payment transactions at zero cost. Now today, you're doing transfer from one banker to another, you're charged something. But if you are doing from one E-Naira to another E-Naira, it is free. But what the central bank has told us now is that if you're moving funds from your bank account to E-Naira, it's free for 90 days from 25th of October, in which the digital currency was launched. So I'm moving from my EcoBank account to my E-Naira between 25th October, count 90 days, it is free. But after that, there will be a charge that will apply to it. But if your money is already in the E-Naira forever, you are moving from one E-Naira to another E-Naira, Panam, it is free. And again, the part of I send money, the beneficiary did not receive it, that becomes a thing of the past, because it's what? Settlement of finality. Recall the previous slide that we talked about. I make the transaction now, the customer gets it, the beneficiary gets it immediately. There is no failure. As a matter of fact, with the technical partner with CBN that we interacted with during the course of this process, there was a 0% failure rate when you move from one wallet now, that's from one E-Naira account to another E-Naira wallet. It is what? It is zero. And again, recall when I talked to us cross-border payments. So for some of us who we do transactions across whether the African coast, indeed, this will be with the Pan-African payment settlement system also coming on board, is going to complement. So I can make payment to someone in Guinea, to South Africa, to Burkina Faso, to Ghana, through my E-Naira. And it's going to ease my transaction. I don't have to worry about, I'm going to let me see exchange rate. What is that? You don't need to worry about that, because the exchange rate that will be happening will be what? Will be one that will be controlled by the central bank. And the last part there is that it's indeed customer centric and it is good user experience. That is part of it for the E-Naira. There's a difference between cryptocurrency and digital currency. In fact, there are a lot of differences. So don't let us, mix it up. For a cryptocurrency, it can appreciate, it can depreciate depending on the forces of supply and demand. But for E-Naira, it has the same parity value. So for cryptocurrency, you and I know for anything cryptocurrency, if there's an issue, for instance, now, how do I reclaim? Who do I go to? It's in this country we've had the so many, Ponzi schemes that have come on board. Cryptocurrency, they help me to mine. Yes, if your risk appetite is there, fine. So I won't advise as a financial expert that this is not the investment you should go to. No, no, mine is not to demarket any investment that you are into. No, I'm just to promote to us what the importance of digital currency is for us as merchants, as individuals, and what benefit we have to. But for a cryptocurrency, it can appreciate, it can depreciate. But for a digital currency, it has parity value with it, and settlement is what is finality. So, and in the event there's a cause for you to say, oh, my money is missing, I don't know where it is. A cryptocurrency, there's nobody, you can't sue, you can it's not recognized by law. There's no central bank that is managing or that is in charge. But for a digital currency, you can indeed say, oh, this is who he is, this is where it's going to happen, and you can be able to repudiate in the event that there's a dispute. And that is one of those things that we have. So let me go to quickly how to onboard. How to onboard. Um, Now it is important because and we can try it for some of us that may not have had it before. Go to Google Play Store, and I want it to be practical. I will appreciate even if I can have at least one person who can just say something on the chat box that you've seen it. I mean, it makes it interactive what we're talking about here. So go to Google Play Store. Google Play Store for Android users. Just type E-Naira. Now for iOS users, go to Apple App Store. Type E-Naira there. You will see it. I mean, there's a logo of that you will see. Now there are two for it. We'll soon get there. There's a one for individuals, yourself as an individual. There's another one for merchant. When I mean merchant, I'm talking in terms of corporate organizations. I mean that you're registered, whether you're registered or unregistered association, that you are not an individual. Basically, if you are not an individual and you're a corporate organization, then you have the one for E-Naira Merchant Speed Wallet. But for you and I as an individual, you have E-Naira Speed Wallet. So just go to that, download it. When I mean download, install now. So when you install, now I need to really emphasize this for us, that we need to really have it. If we want to onboard, now the unique identifier, recall in the previous slide that I showed, for non-bank account holders who don't have bank account at all, the unique identifier is your NIN, that's National Identification Number. But for those who have bank account, the unique identifier is your bank verification number, which is your BVN. So it's important. Please, 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 don't let anybody disturb you what I want to say now. Just listen attentively, and so that the customer experience can be smooth and seamless. If you need to register for the E-Naira, please familiarize yourself with the details on your BVN. Do I need to repeat that? Or I should put it in the chat box? Familiarize yourself with what? With the details on the BVN. Because the details on the BVN is very important for you to be able to have that. So familiarize yourself with the details on the BVN. When I mean details, first name, last name, your date of birth, your email address, your phone number, and your state of origin. Just know what all these details are, because those are the details that will validate. The reason for this is that you don't just want somebody because I know your BVN. Maybe I'm your friend now, for instance. I have a couple of, I mean, if I start mentioning the names of friends I have on this platform, the next 3 hours I'll still be mentioning their names. But if I have a friend now that I'm so close to and I want to really play the devil's advocate and I have your BVN, I should be able to onboard if there's no validation. So that is why those points are made as a validation point for the customer, you that you are onboarding by central bank, to be able to know it's indeed you. There's nobody. You are the one who is onboarding. Otherwise, someone will just use your BVN and onboard and begin to commit fraud. So your first name, your last name, your date of birth, your state of origin, your phone number, and your email address. So when you install that app, I mean, you just follow the prompt. So by the time you follow those prompts, those details are complete. It will ask you to choose a financial institution. Then you can choose your bank, the bank that you have, and the account number. And also, when you're choosing the account number, ensure that the account number is correct. And so by the time you do that, I mean, the customer journey, if you know those your BVN details, is seamless. Just follow prompts, the prompt, and here you are. But for a merchant, those things that are added, additional requirements, your tax identification number, your registered company number, that's the RC number. Then you talk about your business category. Then the BVN on the of the main signatory will also be required. The BVN of the main signatory will also be what will be required. With that you can be able to onboard successfully. You can be able to onboard successfully. So let me go to the last slide. Then we'll now give room for questions. Please, like we said, put your question on the chat box so that as the questions are coming on board, we can be able to address them as they come. Just put your questions. Put your question on the chat box. We'll be able to address the question effectively. Just a minute. Okay, so put your questions on the chat box. We'll be able to address the questions effectively. Now, what are the in the implementation of E-Naira? In the implementation of E-Naira, there are two phases in which the central bank has earmarked for us. Now, the first phase there, as you can see, these are the phases in which you can move money from your central bank to bank to central bank. I mean, that one is just between banks and central bank. But what is important for us is that you have what you call an intra-bank account to wallet transfer. So, for instance, and these are the use cases that we have. I have my bank account now. I am transferring from my bank account to E-Naira wallet. I can do that. Or I can transfer from my bank account to someone else's E-Naira wallet. I can also do that. Or someone else can transfer from their e-wallet to my account. It can also happen. Or you can transfer from one e-wallet to another E-Naira wallet. It can also happen. Then you can also transfer from your wallet to a merchant. It can also happen for phase one. That is what is currently on. And that is what was launched when it was started on October 25th. For phase two now, that's what you call the interbank wallet transfer. So which means I have my account, my wallet now, and I want to transfer to another bank account. Let's say, for instance, my wallet is in EcoBank, and I want to transfer from my wallet now in EcoBank to another bank account. That also is phase two. There's what you call merchant API. For merchant API, I think for some of us who are aggregators, when I mean aggregator now, let me break it down. For some of us who have businesses and we have clients that also depend on us, and you need to be able to settle them on the transaction they've done on your behalf, so that you identify each of them. And a typical one is what you call like an OPay, for instance. Now, some of those who also deploy POS that you go to collect cash. So if you are part of those people and you're on this webinar, the good news is that the phase two will also address your need. Then the unbanked wallet funding using NIN is for phase two. The USSD also wallet transfer. So as it is, CBN is also coming up with this. So today, it's deployed quite all right. It's in use. You need to download the app. So you now ask the question: what of those who don't have app? What would they do? Relax, just relax. They are coming on board. And when I mean them coming on board for phase two, a USSD feature will be released for us to have for phase two, such a way that once you have your USSD string, star whatever code it is, you can be able to transfer from one wallet to from your bank account, or even if you don't have account, you can be able to do a wallet to wallet transfer on your E-Naira platform. So this is where we are. Quite all right. I'm super excited, like I said, to be here to be able to inform us on what it is. So let me go straight to some of those questions, um, so that we can just have okay, okay, okay. So I have one of our questions coming. Okay, the couple of comments here thanking us. I mean, it's all us, it's all us, it's all Mesosai, it's all everybody that we are here. They will be able to do. So someone is asking here, Busa Odele is asking, so that is there a way to convert E-Naira to physical cash? Yes. The use cases are some of those things I've actually explained. You can transfer from E-Naira to E-Naira, E-Naira to bank account to E-Naira. You can do E-Naira to merchants. You know, you can also do merchant to E-Naira. There's also a form of E-Naira to physical cash. But you ask yourself, I have E-Naira, I can use anything with E-Naira. So why do I need cash in again? Because what is expected is that the market sellers, those even selling, my favorite fruit is sugarcane. And when I see them, I get excited a lot. I like that a lot. So the man that is selling sugarcane asks E-Naira at the end of the day, why do I still need to give him cash? It's a point of settlement. I've given him E-Naira, he has received the E-Naira, is in account at low cost. No cost to him, no cost to me. There's no stamp duty cost, there's no transfer cost. He gets it. So that is that yes, it's possible to transfer from E-Naira to physical cash, but why the need to do that when indeed you can as well transact with your E-Naira? I'm having someone Miracle in your pop. Gomez is asking us a question that in remote part of the country where access to internet is extremely impossible, how do the people at such places enjoy E-Naira transactions? That's what we say. A typical example, like I said, is when you go to Kenya for M-Pesa. Those grandmothers in those remote areas, there's no internet facility there. And when you talk about internet penetration in Nigeria, it's not as high as telecommunication penetration. Today, we're about 100, almost 200 million, but you rest assured that you have more than 120 million people that have phones at home. No internet, but they have phones. But what E-Naira is saying now is that a digital currency is saying is that if you have phone, or even if you have what you call national identification number, and of course your phone, you can be able to access your E-Naira and make transactions. So you go to the store. Oh, I want to buy snacks. I want to buy groceries. I want to buy soap. I want to buy anything you want to buy. And they say, what? Ma, okay, I will pay you through E-Naira. You don't need internet there. That is also obtainable for that. Okay, so a follow-up question is saying, if you can do, so if, how can you convert E-Naira to cash? It's the same thing. You can convert, you can go to a Naira branch to be able to collect cash from your E-Naira account, or you can do what you can call a transaction, maybe from your E-Naira to your bank account, and then you can just collect the cash from that. That in which you can do that. Okay. Olatunji has downloaded it. So if you've downloaded it, I mean, if you've not used it, you won't be able to, because the reason is this: why this is being made to government, to central bank, even to us, is going to have a multiplier effect. And let me give us a classic example of how this thing affect us that subconsciously we don't even know about. Now today, there is a high cost of transactions, production now. Cost of production is seemingly going higher. Now, if, for instance, the A bottled water costs 50 naira. And because of the high cost of transactions, high cost of production that were happening, there's a marginal increase of 10% in the cost of production. You know that you and I, you cannot buy a bottled water for 60 naira. First, where is the change? Secondly, what will happen? So the multiplier, the aggregation of our spendings that you look at it also affect what you call about the inflation, about the GDP. So you discover that when you aggregate, oh, rather than now selling for those who produce now, rather than selling it for 60 naira, they just mark it up to the nearest whole number in front at the east, not at the west, in front. So rather than now making it to say you and I should pay 60 naira for the incremental cost of production, the next thing is that, oh, bottled water is now 100 naira. You know, I say, but that is too high because there's no platform in which they can be able to receive the 60 naira, which will represent the 10%, which is the higher cost of production. So you could see that the inflation that we're all saying that is a double digit at 16%, it's all a function of all our total spending. And this is part of the reason why a digital currency will. So if I need to pay you 60 naira and I'm paying your E-Naira, I don't need to add additional cover to it, additional naira to it. I pay you exactly the way it is. Now, I have another question here. It's saying, what is the role of foreign exchange, the use of E-Naira for cross-border transactions around the Pan-African and European environment? Splendid question. Now, what I explained to us in terms of the Pan-African payment system, this will be settlement amongst the countries within the African coast. So there's no going to be the risk of foreign exchange. The exchange will be settled by the central banks of different countries. So if I need to make payment, I'm not exposed to foreign exchange volatility within the context of the PAPs that I'm talking about. But if I still need to go to the route of assessing FX from maybe the Aboki or from the black market, and I'm still going to put it in my domiciliary account because I need to make, let's break it down. Somebody is in Ghana and I need to pay the person and I need to route the payment from Nigeria to maybe my correspondent bank, the Troche, depending on the currency I'm using, and it's going to Standard Chartered, going to the point in Ghana here. So you could see that this is also part of what it will show. You're not going to, the foreign exchange volatility, you will not be exposed to it within the context of the digital currency haven't been adopted by the various central banks within the African coast. That will happen. Now for the European environment, yes, why not? So because the way it is, and I was reading an article, and it's just important I state this: 1 out of every 3 truck drivers in the US has a relationship or services rendered to a financial institution or financial services. 1 out of 3 truck drivers, and that tells you the enormity of you transacting the currency cost. And so, what with a digital currency, those costs will be what will be minimized, and that is what it is. Okay, someone is asking, what is the cost of transactions for E-Naira, and how does it have a stable value? Thank you, okay, for that question. Okay, for now, your currency transactions from your bank account to E-Naira is free for 90 days from the effective date of the launch of the E-Naira, which was October 25th. Thereafter, the normal account cost will prevail. However, after even that, when we are talking about the P2P, person-to-person transfer from wallet to wallet, now it is free forever. It is what? It is free forever. So you're not going to be bothered about, oh, I make a transfer of 100,000, I've been charged this, I've been charged that. And for those who do frequent transactions, you really look at sometimes your cost and you imagine and said, even if a cost saving of this, you could buy some stationaries or some other things from that. So this will be applicable. It is free if you're doing a P2P or a P2B, person to person or person to business. It is free for life. But when you're doing a bank transfer to your E-Naira, for now, it is still free within this window that the central bank has done. Okay, someone is asking, how do I set up payment gateway for E-Naira on my web store? This is splendid, and it is part of those which is called the merchant API. For the merchant API, basically for aggregators, it will be useful. And when I mean aggregators, you're talking about the likes of the Flutterwave, talking about the likes of the Paystack, without necessarily promoting any brand here. Quite all right, but these are just known brand that we have on what we can do. So for that particular one, as soon as the merchant API comes, which will come in phase 2, the payment gateway will be enabled, whereby even for you as an individual, you're on your e-commerce and you need to make payment, you can as well receive payment on the payment gateway that will have been mapped to your web engine, for instance, now to receive just like what you have currently. You can also do that, and that, but it's not for now for phase 1. It's definitely coming for phase 2, but that it is going to happen. Another question here is saying, if I convert all my cash deposit to E-Naira today, can I still get cash through the ATM? That's the essence of it. See, that ATM that we were talking about is a cost. It's not a cost to you, but it's a cost, even it's a cost to you as an individual, because after 3 withdrawals on the ATM, what happens? You get charged 35 naira. So you go to withdraw cash from the ATM, you get charged in a way. But when you're using E-Naira for payment, you don't get charged. So, but to this question, yes, you can. But why do you still need to go enjoy a service that you can get charged? So that is why that part is important, that yes, if you have for E-Naira today, you do not, yes, you can still collect cash. Your deposit is in E-Naira. You want to collect cash, just move it to your bank account. You can also collect your cash from the ATM. But if it's on your E-Naira, you need to buy your groceries, go to ShopRite, go to anywhere to buy anything, they collect it, you're not charged. I mean, it's freebies. They say nothing is free town, nothing free is in Freetown, but here in Nigeria, this is free, free for all. So as to enhance financial inclusion and make us all come into this. Is there a limit on how much transactions can be done on the E-Naira platform? That's what we explained initially in terms of the tier. Now there are 3 tiers to it. You have what you call the tier 1, you have the tier 2, you have the tier 3. In fact, there are 4 tiers. You have a tier 0, and a tier 0 basically is the one that in which customers do not have to open account at all. Customers do not, when I mean customers without bank accounts, you can open for tier 0. And so the limit for that is just the cumulative balance for that is 120,000. The cumulative balance for that is 120,000. For tier 1 that I talked about, the transaction limit that you can do for tier 1, what you just require that you have, your minimum requirement for that is your phone number. Quite all right. Tier 0, tier 1, you don't need bank account, your phone number. For tier 1, the transaction limit there is 50,000. The daily balance is 300,000 for tier 1. Now for tier 2, you need a bank account. You don't need valid ID card to open that account, just a valid an ordinary bank account. Now for tier 2, the cumulative daily balance total you can have in your E-Naira is 500,000, while the transaction limit is 200,000. Now for tier 3 means full KYC, know your customer, you have valid ID card and all other details as required by the bank. For that one, the transaction limit is 1 million, while the cumulative balance is 5 million. For 5 million, that's for individuals now. But for merchants, when I mean merchant, corporate organization, churches, malls, schools, institutions, I mean, just name it, whether registered association, Mesosci, for instance. Now we regard them as smarter. For those ones, the transaction limit per one per transaction, and all transaction limit per one transaction is 1 million, and there is no daily cumulative limit. So which means you can have 50 million in your E-Naira and you move it to your bank account to do your transactions. That is all for that. We have less than 5 minutes to wrap up. I think all the questions have been answered here. It's my pleasure also to be here once again. But in the event that you have any other question, please, you can route your question through the executives of Mesosci. I think they will be able to get across to us. Or if you don't have that, you can also send me an email. My email is ayo Olatunji 200 at yahoo.co.uk. Let me repeat that. Ayo_Olatunji 200 at yahoo.co.uk. Let me say it for the last time. Not some of us are very fast writers when we're in school those days. Yeah. So that's on the chat box. I mean, it's already on the screen. Ayo_Olatunji 200, not 200, 200 at yahoo.co.uk. So you can just send me an email, or better still, send a mail to or get across to any of the executives. They can reach out to me, and we can be able to answer whatever question that you have. So it's a pleasure. Just 3 minutes to the end of the whole session. Let me once again thank everybody. You took time out of your busy schedule to be able to come and listen to my humble self. And I'm so proud. I mean, there are names and there are so memories that I'm seeing here, that I'm relishing, and it gives me joy from within. So let me thank everybody. The global president, we thank you so much for giving us this privilege, this opportunity to be able to speak to, I mean, the global audience, because we have audience across the globe here. They are proud, I mean, product of Methodist High School. So thank you, the global president, for giving us this chance to be able to come and speak to everybody. Thank you, the executives too, the vice president, the ESCO general secretary, everybody, publicity secretary, everybody, the ex-official. Thank you very much for giving us this privilege to come. Thanks to MHS 95, repping us very well. Yeah, I mean, you guys are the best for all that you've had in this instance. Thank you to all other sets too of taking time out to come. If we have any students here, top up. Yours is also coming very soon. But again, thank you very much for being with us. Thank you very much for being here. It's a pleasure. See we till next time we see us again. Have a blessed weekend. Have a blessed week ahead. Have a blessed month. Have a blessed year end. And bye bye. Bye bye to everybody. Nagode. Dalu. Eshegon. If I did not mention your language, just put it there. You know what I'm talking about. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And goodbye and good night.